month, it was kind of a big anniversary. 20 days ago, to be exact. Rain and Blood turned 30. When the album was going to initially be released, Def Jam's label, they didn't want to release it because they were saying of the lyrical content, the cover art, stuff like that. If that exact same album was released today, how do you think it would be received by the public, by critics, and even by the government?
It's hard to say. I mean, you're taking a moment in time and putting it at a different moment in time.
Yeah.
When that record came out, there was still way more taboo than there is now. Even though it still exists, it's not near as preventative as it was back then. The same things don't scare you. That's what I'm saying. I mean, musically, sonically, it still would be awesome. Would it cause the uproar being everything that's come out since then? Probably not.
Do you think everything that's come out since then, though, would have came out if it wasn't for your album and that specific album?
What was the first part?
Do you think everything that has come out since then, like other bands, other albums, things like that, would have been influenced as much if there wasn't an album like yours that came out?
It's hard to say. These are big time speculative questions. It's hard, super hard to say. When we made it up, me and Jeff were 22, and we just made up music that we wanted to that didn't exist. So if we skipped Rain and Blood and did South of Heaven, maybe bands would have been more heavy than thrashy or fast. I don't know. It's hard to say, but my influence were big, important figures for me. So I'm sure that was an important figure for bands to look up to us.
Another thing I really liked about that album is it was released with Def Jam. What do you think? Another person that was big on that was Rick Rubin. Do you think that there really hasn't been anyone since Rick Rubin that's been able to, I guess you would say, crossover between the rap and rock genre and other genres too? He's worked with people like Adele. Do you think there's another producer out there with as much influence on the different genres as Rick Rubin, or do you think there will ever be another man as great as him?
I think Rick was an asset in the early days. And then he got popular and pretty much didn't care. I mean, his name's on a lot of records, but I know a lot of those records, it's the engineer that did everything. I was trying to think of some of the bands he did. But in the beginning, he was hands-on, he was way into it, and it was inspiring. But by Seasons in the Abyss, Divine Intervention, he was an afterthought, and that's not me talking down to Rick Rubin. He just wasn't involved.
Yeah.
Executive producer means I own the record label. I fronted the money for this.
Yeah.
But it was generally sometimes some of his number one guy beneath him, he started taking a bigger role in our later records, and the engineers always did too.
Yeah. Another thing that I really liked about you is that you breed exotic snakes. When I was growing up, I was a huge reptile girl. I had iguanas, I had lizards, all that stuff. How many snakes do you own by any chance?
I don't know.
In the hundreds?
I had hundreds of babies this year, so probably 1,000 something. And I'm not hands-on anymore. 3-4 years ago, I had a guy who I've known since he was a kid when I worked with his dad. Take over. He's my snake whisperer. And I still pick, 70% of what he breeds, right. I want that to breed to that so we can produce something that nobody's ever seen yet.
I was going to say, what's the most exotic snake that you own or that you've breeded?
Well, every year we're in a point where we specialize in carpet pythons from Australia. And every year we are primed to produce something nobody's ever seen yet. Because, different morphs keep coming out and different different genetic patterns. And I'm at the forefront, so usually every year something will pop out that nobody's seen yet. And that's why I do it. It's fun,
It's fun to create something new.
Yeah, because you have an idea what it's going to look like, but maybe not.
I saw an article the other day from a while ago, back I think 2007, but it was saying how Slayer attracts a new generations of fans. Now, personally, in my opinion, you always attract a new generation of fans. You have a younger generation. You have these people that are hearing your music for the first time. What about your band or your songs or your lyrics in general do you think keeps attracting these young people to your band?
I think it's real. I think it's street. I think it's aggressive. It's full of angst, and kids got angst, adults got angst. And Slayer's a lifestyle. Slayer's not just a band anymore. And I think our fans look at us and they see themselves more than I ever saw myself in any of my heroes bands. Do I dress up and put leather pants and chains on stage? Yeah, but that's about it. Other than that, I do sound check. I'm in my camos like I'm in every day.
I love that. No, I saw that and I was like, fuck yeah, that looks awesome.
Yeah, it's I think our fans relate to us because they see themselves in us.
I would definitely agree with that. With Repentless, you were saying that the album, you had about 6 or 7 extra, not lyrically finished songs, but musically finished songs. When can we see Slayer back in the studio? Obviously, right now, you guys are touring your asses off.
This is my last show, man. I'm off for a very long time.
Really? How long are you
excited.
guys going to be taking off?
I'm off 5 months that I know of.
Is this?
But we've been going hard since the end of May.
Oh yeah, no, you guys have been touring a lot. Is this time off going to be spent just resting and relaxing? Or are you going to be working on new? I'm
going to chill for sure. I always plan on keeping my fingers in shape and calloused up, but rest and relaxation takes over sometimes.
Can we ask, what is resting and relaxing for? What do you enjoy doing?
Not being on tour.
Well, do you go, I don't know, Alice Cooper's a big golfer. Do you golf? Do you?
Nah. Well, it's halfway point of the NFL football season, so I know what my Sundays will be doing.
What's your team?
Raiders.
The Raiders. Well, yeah, that makes sense. I grew up in Southern California, but I don't have a team. I'm real bad with that. So football and just hanging out at home.
Well, like you said, we do have a bunch of new material that no one's ever heard, and if the lyrics don't change that musically, those songs are done.
Yeah.
Full production with Terry Date from the last record. So, I'm going to work on lyrics with that in mind, but if I get some awesome idea that the song has to change, we'll have to record it again.
Yeah.
But I'm sure some of them won't. So, it's a very cool place to be because we've never been in this position with this many songs that they weren't leftovers, they just weren't finished.
Yeah. What made you decide with those songs, there was 5 to 7, I believe, I don't know if I'm wrong or not, but that you didn't make it on the record, you weren't able to do the lyrics for. What makes you decide which ones do and which ones don't?
Well, I get excited about some, you know, and I'm more than others, and that could be just because I like the riffs, because sometimes when the vocals get in, I like that song better. Mm-hmm. But I had a handful I knew I wanted to finish, and the ones that they're my favorite songs, I'm going to finish that one first.
Yeah.
And sometimes, a title comes to me and I'm like, that's a great title for that song. It's got the vibe of that song.
And then you start working on that one instead?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, there's 2 in there with vocals and leads that will probably go in and tweak the vocals a little bit. But if they came out as is, they're great. But yeah, probably 5 more about that. So that's a good 7, if not 8.
You're almost halfway done.
Yeah, for sure. And I've got 1 or 2 that I've been muddling around on tour. So there's close to 10 already. You
almost got an album.
existing songs. Yeah, that's my cutoff. I want 10, and if something comes out like Implode or When the Stillness Comes, those will just be additional tracks to the 10, whatever those 10 are. So yeah, I would like to get all that done before I go on tour again, at least the music. So I'm like, all right, here we go. Let's go on tour again. I can make up lyrics when I'm bored. Then maybe late next year, when the touring cycle stops again, maybe that's when we start thinking about recording, which is really fast for Slayer. Repentless has been out 13 months. That is,
especially when you hear that Nuclear Blast is already asking, hey, new album. That's kind of fast for your band. How do you all feel about that? Are you ready to already start going, all right, let's work on a new one?
If we get all the territories, because we haven't hit South America, we haven't hit Australia, we haven't done much Pacific Rim. If we get all those under our belt, yeah, because if you keep the machine rolling, then you get to come back and do them again sooner than if you didn't. Because you only hit those, like Australia and South America, you generally only hit once on an album cycle. So if you got a 6-year album cycle, you ain't going there for 6 years.
I hope you enjoyed this. Yeah. The band obviously has been around for decades, and it's known for being super cool, super graphic, and gory at times. Is there ever a thought or an idea or a song lyric that you think, looking back in hindsight, went just a little too far?
I got to fix that on this record.
Really?
It's when, because Atrocity Vendor came out on the B-side of something.
Okay.
For, I think they call it Record Store Day.
Oh, yeah.
A couple years ago. And looking back, I can't even remember what lyrics I changed, but I didn't rewrite the song. I redid how the drums are performed in the song. I changed some vocals, made the lead longer, just, streamlined it kind of. But when that song came out, I was looking back and I'm like, those lyrics, yeah, it's Slayer, but it's almost too sensationalized in a goofy way. It's like, is this for radio?
No, yeah, go ahead, do whatever the fuck you want.
Okay. I think the line was fist fuck you with your own severed arm.
Okay.
I thought that went not too far because I mean we're Slayer, we can do anything, but it borderline not awesome to me.
Okay.
So I took that out and changed. I can't even remember what I changed it to, but it's better in my eyes.
That song came out better, and you think fits the Slayer image better now.
Absolutely.
Perfect. The band has been touring forever, creating music forever, and there's a lot of bands that you see, like a Sabbath, who they've been around for decades. Do you ever see a point where Slayer's going to say, you know what, I think we're done for a while? Or even taking a little hiatus? Not necessarily saying
I don't think there's going to be
up.
for a while, because if I gear down to not do this, I don't want to come back and do it anymore.
You're tapping out?
I'm not tapping out. I don't want to be that band that goes away and comes back and goes away and comes back. I want to play till we're done, be done with it.
No,
hopefully that's not soon.
You're like, not anywhere soon. We have an album coming eventually, so we can at least guarantee Slayer fans we have at least one more new album coming, and probably more than that.
I can't guarantee anything. I can guarantee my vote. My vote's yeah.